Hello, welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker, a real estate investor helping you realize your dream of owning a home or investing in one. Today, I'm going to be speaking about fire and wildfires. You may want to have your kids listen into this particular episode because I'm going to be sharing some tips that the schools may not have taught them, or you, as a matter of fact. First, let's get into it. When it comes to buying a home, you should make it a contingency in your offering agreement, especially if you are buying in an area that is known to have wildfires, that you can back out of the deal, or you're going to split the costs in case the house catches a fire before going into closing. The reason why you want to do this is because the way the law is, and the law is called the equitable conversion law, if you don't have this contingency, you are going to be stuck, the buyer, with the responsibility and the cost of rebuilding and repairing. So keep that in mind. Next, let's move on and talk about prevention. You may not have known this, but the fire department will actually come to your house for free and create an escape plan with you, so that in case a fire does break out in your home, or maybe even next door to your home and come into your area, that you know what to do. Remember, don't just have a plan A, have a plan A and a plan B. And if you can have a C and a D, even better. Once in a while, of course, it's good to review that plan so that you're not caught off guard you are going to be caught off guard regardless, but you'll just be better prepared if you practice, sort of like the fire drills that you do in school and on your job. The next thing, of course, I believe that you should have a copy of all of your important documents, like your birth certificates, your kids' school records, your pet's veterinary records, your health care records, your social security card, things like that. They should be in a plastic clear bag or scanned into the computer, saved on the cloud with a password that you can remember, or saved to a zip drive. Next, the other thing that you should consider, and I know the fire department, they're going to tell you this anyway, they're going to ask you if you have any elderly or handicapped people that live with you. And if you do, they're going to say that those are the people that should be living near the exits in your escape plan. So, for example, my main door I have doors actually on every single floor, but the first floor is the main floor. So, their recommendation, of course, is that whoever in the house is elderly or handicapped, the first floor is bedrooms. That's where they should be. Okay, next. Getting back to the topic of insurance, it is best to have insurance. I was talking with one of my cab drivers that takes me to work, and he said that his house had burned down. Well, there were like just a few rooms in the house burned down, like 2 or 3, and it cost him $400,000 to repair and rebuild those particular rooms. We're not talking about the whole house, just those 2 to 3 rooms. Now, some of you say you don't like the insurance company, you don't trust the insurance company. Listen, I wouldn't trust GoFundMe to help me out in a situation like that, because with what I see with GoFundMe, I'm not knocking them, But most regular people don't make $400,000. The people who get $400,000 on GoFundMe are normally celebrities, hospitals, or internet influencers, sensations. But most regular people, they're not getting that kind of money on GoFundMe. So it's good to have an insurance. And definitely make sure if you do get the insurance that the deductible is $1,000. Now, listen, to save money on the insurance, there are things that you should have in the home, and it's actually mandatory in New York State, some of the things I'm gonna mention. But definitely note this and tell the insurance agent so that you can get a rebate. What are those things? The smoke detector. You can get smoke, carbon, and fire all rolled up into one, or you can get them each separate, but basically you want them all rolled up into one. That is definitely mandatory in New York, and it's also mandatory in Georgia to have those installed. The other things you may want to mention, it's not mandatory for you to have it, but if you have it, you get a rebate for it. Fireproof walls is one, and a sprinkler system is another. Not only do you get an insurance rebate, but if, let's say, the house didn't come with those two things and you have them put in afterwards, that's actually tax deductible. Just letting you know. Landlords, put this in your lease. You have some tenants that they don't like for nobody to come into the home at all, or not into the home, sorry, into their apartment. You need to make sure, and you make it clear, put it in the lease and when you speak to them, that you do have the right to come into their apartment if a smoke, fire alarm goes off, because you don't want your property burning down to the ground. And you need to put them on notice. If they give you any kind of resistance or tell you, oh no, you got to call them and wait for them to come. No, don't rent to that person. Don't rent to that person. Give them their security deposit money back. Give them whatever rent they gave you back. Let them know up front, this is how you are going to run it. Next, of course, you want to, if you have the ones where they use batteries, the smoke detectors, alarm, you want to check those every now and then. Otherwise, get the ones that are electrical. It's better. Oh, and then the other thing that I forgot to mention is the fire extinguisher. If you have a fire extinguisher, that's also a insurance rebate. I would buy one for the tenants and put it in the kitchen. Make sure you also check the pressure on those fire extinguishers because they don't last forever. You may want to check them like every 5 to 10 years to make sure everything is good. If you have to install gated windows, because in New York City, if a child is on the second floor, we have to do that, or above, we have to install gated windows. Make sure that those windows have a button that you press so that in case there is a fire, that tenant can press that button, the gate comes off the window, and then they can jump out the window if necessary. Also, make the window, that particular button, have it covered so that the children don't, it's not easy for them to tamper with it and, keep playing with it over and over again. Next, if you have a fireplace, make sure you have a fireplace screen. Sometimes the logs that are burning inside of the fireplace will roll out for whatever reason. So definitely keep a screen there. If you use portable heaters in your home, or you have tenants that do, make sure those heaters are UL rated and that they have an automatic shut-off valve so that if the portable heater turns over, it doesn't keep on going and start fires, because some of them do have started fires in the past. With the automatic shut-off, what it does is if it tips over, turns over, it shuts the heater off automatically. So that's a good thing to have. Another thing that you may want to consider, I have bought them but I haven't installed them yet, and that's the collapsible ladders. Those you nail down to the windows, particularly the windows in the back of the house. So that would be another form of escape. And I guess you can, I haven't mentioned, I guess I need to mention it to my insurance agent as well, to get that rebate. Yes. Another thing that, I know many of you may know is to get yourself a fireproof safety deposit box. Keep it in a safe place, and you can also keep your important papers in there, or anything that is of extreme value should be placed in that particular box. You also, well, many of us do this anyway, but for those of you who don't, just to mention, it's maybe wise to keep a phone near your bed so that it's easy for you to dial 911 in case of that type of emergency. Next, you don't want to smoke in bed. Yes, I know somebody who fell asleep smoking in bed and burnt her apartment as well as some of the other apartments surrounding her. Please don't do that. It is very, very dangerous. Next thing that many people don't consider, again, is landscaping. There are certain flowers and shrubs that are highly flammable. In order to make sure that your home is fire resistant, or your landscaping is, check your local nursery, a landscape contractor, or your local county's UC Cooperative Extension Service, which is free, for advice on what type of plants that you can plant. Just to give you some examples of fireproofed landscape, are stone walls, patios, decks, not the one with the wood, the one with it's sort of like an outdoor laminate. That one is actually better. You want to use rocks, mulch. You want to use flower beds that cover and provide bare space, because those actually break up the fire. You want plants that have high moisture, low sap and resin content, that resist ignition. 3 plants that I know that can do that are rock rose, ice plant, and aloe vera. Again, check to see if those will grow in your area. As far as shrubs, roses, honeysuckle, currant, and shrub apples, they are also good. They're somewhat fire retardant. And when it comes to trees, maple, poplar, and cherry are best. Those Christmas trees like pine, fir, and conifers, those are the ones that are highly flammable. I know they look nice and people like to dress them up for Christmas. If you're gonna have those trees, it really isn't good when you have them smacked. It's not good to have any tree smacked up against your home. The tree should be 10 to 20 feet away from your house. That's number one. But it's definitely not good to have that particular tree so close to your home. If you have to have that tree, plant it like somewhere near the back, away from the drains, at the end of the backyard, but not close to the home. And then the other thing that you need to keep in mind is that no matter what kind of plant you have to prune it periodically, because dry, dead leaves burn easily and fast and will help spread a fire. Abundant, dense foliage helps spread a fire. Some plants have oil and resin in them. Some of them have gum and something called terpene in them. That's why you have to call your local UC extension program to find out which ones they are, and don't buy those plants and don't plant them in your backyard. Anything needle-like, any plant that has needles, no, avoid those, please. You don't want those in your backyard. Now, let's talk about what to do if a fire actually happens. Now, I have not been in any area, thank God, that caught on fire. However, the building across the street from me, directly across the street from me, one of the apartments did catch a fire. I called 911 immediately, and they did have that rectified. I also contacted my neighbor who lives right next door on the same side of the street. I tried to contact the building, but at that time, unfortunately, I didn't see like any of the guards or anything like that. So anyway, needless to say, thank God nobody died. It was handled. They did have to repair that particular apartment, and they did get rid of the tenant. He actually set the place on fire. He was troubled. I'll just leave that alone and move forward. Okay. If you find yourself in a room or in a building that is on fire, what's recommended is that you get down low as possible, crawl, open the doors slowly. If any of the fire actually catches on your clothes or on your body, drop and roll back and forth until all the flames have gone. Now, ladies, but I'll say everybody, but I know specifically us, there are things that are dear to our hearts. Sometimes we want to, pick up valuable things. Listen, leave those things where they are, because fire really spreads really, really fast. You don't want to take that risk. If anything, if you have anything that is so valuable to you, get insurance on that thing, if you will. Just take care of yourself. If you have kids, make sure they're all right. But it's actually recommended that you get out and that you call 911 and let the fire department come and rescue the rest of the people in your family that might not necessarily be able to make it. I hate to say it that way. It pains me to the thought of that, but that's what's recommended. Knowing me, if there's somebody else in the house, I'm taking them. We gonna fight, but we gonna get out together. Next, they mentioned cover your nose when you're leaving. Smoke inhalation can be deadly, from what I understand. So, yeah, be precautious with that. If you can't get out, if you're just surrounded by fire, they say close the door, close all of the vents, and of course call 911. If there's any rags that are wet or whatever, it might be best to put that on the vent to try to, or fan the flame so that the fire will go out. Let's talk about the aftermath. If it was me, I would thank God that I'm alive. It's recommended that you stay away from the home until the fire authorities tell you that you can return. Don't just say, oh, you don't see any more fire, or they're finished with the hose, and say, okay, I can go back. They say no, stay away until they let the fire department let you know whether or not you can go back. Next, if you have a pet, you may want to contact the veterinarian immediately and have them checked out. Of course, you want to call your insurance. You also want to call your utility company, your service company, and your phone companies and let them know what happened. You want to notify your mortgage company as well. As for temporary shelter, you can go to the Salvation Army or Red Cross. Now, just so you know, there are some state governments that will actually give extra money for any disaster relief. One of the best places to go to find that information is www.benefits.gov/categories/disaster %20 relief. And they list all of the different agencies that are out there that are able to either give you a loan, provide financial assistance, provide food, housing, and also reestablish you as a homeowner in case your home burns down to the ground and nothing can be saved. Next, you want to contact your local emergency management agency for help or referral. And of course, you guys know about FEMA. Their phone number is 1-800-621-3362. Again, that's 1-800-621-3362. Now, moving further, if you are disabled, you may, because of this fire, you may be able to apply for SSI. If you are a veteran and you become disabled, you may be able to get veteran disability. There are some retirement accounts, IRAs and 401ks, well, more so 401ks, that may let you take money out for this disaster penalty free. So you don't even have to worry about the taxes. Next, if you need any emotional support, you can contact your local church to see what they have. Or you can also call in New York City. We have 311. I think it's, yes, 311, and they can transfer you to a service that provides free emotional support. And of course, for me, I also turn to the Bible and to a meditation app. I have several meditation apps that I use, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Now, when the fire department says you can come back into the house, if you find that there's any soot or smoke on the walls, know that that can actually be washed off. However, if there's like mold or if it's like severe damage, then you probably will need to get a professional in order to replace any of the drywall and insulation. Please get a contractor that is licensed and will get a building permit. Now, of course, your insurance will have contractors for you to choose. Watch them. But in case, I know some of you don't have insurance, don't want to get insurance, and you're not going to listen, just be careful, because there are con artists. They know you're desperate. They know that you're vulnerable. They know that you're in turmoil, that you're not going to be able to think straight, and they will come in and take advantage of you. They will seem sweet and kind, and they may even comfort you. They have a game and they know how to play it. So please be cautious. If you have a friend or a family member that wasn't directly affected, have them assist you when it comes to dealing with the contractors if you can. If you are not aware, please pick up my book, The Perils of Real Estate Scam Alert, where you can learn more and you'll understand where I'm coming from when I mention these things to you. Anyway, that's all I have for you for now, folks. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Feel free to pass this along. Remember, each one, reach one, teach one, sometimes teach many. Anyway, bye for now and have a good night.